Yes.
Of course, somebody else will get to shut it.
Shut it.
See, there we go. All right. Get everything that I want. Except that. I don't think it's what I want. But it'll work. All right. We'll be in Luke chapter 12 again this evening. Chapter 12, 13 through 21. What did we notice Sunday? Or what did we study? What did we see? Kind of as just an overview, what we take from it. What did this guy do? Turn around his barn.
Example of idolatry.
Example of idolatry. Very good. It's something that we can look at and say, hey, it doesn't matter how much you have. It's where your heart's at and how you work with the things that you've got. It isn't what you have, it's what you do. So, we're going to be starting out in verse 20, in card number 26. What happened when this rich man died?
Apparently is.
Or what did we notice?
It goes to somebody else.
It goes to somebody else.
Keep it.
Doesn't go with you, right? Okay. After being said, I'm going to go ahead and read 20 just so it's fresh in our heads. But God said to him, fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided? Okay. God's telling him he's a fool for the things that he's looking at, the way he's doing it. It's all about him at this time and what he can do, what he can gain. And, at times, do we not stop and think, hey, what am I doing with what I've got? Am I getting to where I'm like this guy and just gonna sit back and lounge? I get to stop, I don't wanna word it.
How does the church like that treasure? It's work.
It's hard to put out there the way I want it to be worded, not sound dumb. But,
The man was seeking what?
if say we amass a lot of things, not here to be farm for the most part, but if we amass everything and we just leave it for the next generation, is it gonna use it to further God's word or help people? What have we really gained? Other than we now have made a whole other generation not want to step up and do something because now they have it easy too. If you look at it that way.
It's nothing.
You gain nothing. I'm gonna compare it to somebody who doesn't get, say the girls, we don't teach them anything. If we haven't taught them anything, what did I gain from it? And then not only what did I not gain from it, what did they not gain from me not doing my job? So to me, it's a lot of it was like that also. You just stop and say, okay, hey, is everybody on the same field, on the same plane? Do they understand what God wants us to do?
Focus is not where it needs to be.
Focus is not where it needs to be. 1 Corinthians 13:8.
Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail, whether there be tongues, they shall cease, whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
So, other than love, which is charity, if we have enough love to spread the word, but yet we see everything else that goes away, right? Over time, do we remember people? If you think about it, if you can't read it or if it hasn't been written if it hasn't been written down, Tom's not working on that at all. If it wasn't written down for us, do we remember anything, really? 100 years from now, will they really, and we walk out through a cemetery today, and you see names on stones. But if it really wasn't something that was close to you, do you even recognize half the name? No. So everything here is fleeting or going away. And if we don't take care of the things we need to while we're here, it'll fall apart. Right?
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yes. Let's look at Romans 1:28. Romans 1:28.
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting.
We look at that as somebody that isn't following God's word, that's not paying attention to his writings. Was this man any different or any better? No. He everything he did, he wanted to do for himself. Let's look at Luke 16:2. Luke 16:2.
So he called him and said to him, "What is this I hear about you giving an account of your stewardship, but you know how to be a steward?"
Okay, God came up to the rich fool in a similar manner. You're done. What do we want to give account for?
What we do.
What we do. Do we want to make sure that we're on the right side or the wrong side?
Right side.
The right side of things, right? And the way this guy did it, was he on the right side? In the example we read about it. No. He was doing everything for himself. You see a lot of people today that, if it gains them, they'll do it. They're not as willing to stop and help other people along the way. For no better purpose to stop and smell the roses. Every once in a while, you slow down for a minute, so they're going 100 miles an hour where you're going, and you stop and think about things. One recognizes saying, you can see a lot more by driving down a country road versus driving down the interstate. You drive down the interstate, and what do you see? Especially through town, I don't see a whole lot through town. I see houses, buildings, and stuff like that. I get off on a side road, and you drive along, and you can see people moving around and things happening. It just gives you a different feel for things. All right. Luke 12:40.
The man who bought the field, he could look at it anytime, right? He could go eat supper and then look at it. He didn't have to go look at it right then when supper was.
Therefore, you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect.
Okay, as we saw with this guy, do we know when the time is coming? Do we know when the end's gonna be here? No, it'll just happen. We like to plan things out, though. I mean, generally, as a rule, except me, occasionally I'm just kind of here and there. But as a general rule, we want to kind of know what's going on and how we're going to do things, right? Can we plan without having a plan? If you fumble through stuff, do you really get anything accomplished that you want to get accomplished for the day?
The man doing the supper.
No, you can't get the things done you'd like to get done because something else happens, or you just don't get it going in the direction you wanted to do to begin with that. But yet we don't know until God shows up when he's going to be. 1 Corinthians 15:54.
One is corruptible has found incorruption, is mortal has found immorality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed in victory.
Okay. Well, this guy died. Did he just die? Was he just dead?
None of those men.
Got sold.
Got a soul, had to answer for something, right? You know, we look at it, people look at it today as, you know, when you're dead, you're dead. You know, I had a good run, a lot of times is what they'll say, you know, and he's just dead. They don't want to take into consideration, we might have to give account for the things that we've done. At the end of the day, we need to keep that in the back of our head, you know. Have I done all I could do to my ability? And a lot of times, you stop and think about it. Did I today do what I needed to do to get the things done that I needed to do? So just give you something to think about a little bit. All right. What were the fools, or what is a fool concerned with?
Physical.
The physical things of this world, right? I mean, I've seen people that every new iPhone that comes out, they've got to have it, or a new car, you know, new this, new that, new gaming. You know, guys that work will probably buy a game, Xbox of some sort. I just showed you how good some of the stuff I am. He's like, well, I'm gonna go buy a whole bunch of these and resell them. I'm like, you're worried about a gaming system? Okay, each his own. I guess I can't say too much. I go home and play with cows. It don't get any worse. Spend money to watch them run around the field like that. But, you know, a lot of it is, you know, if I put all my valuables, if I put all my trust in earthly things, eventually it's gonna be like, we won't have any work. Someone read 1 Corinthians 15:58, please.
Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
Okay, so the things that we lay up in the Lord, are the things that we work for, will that be accounted to us? Yes, we'll gain that, right? It's something that it's, at the end of the day, what do we work for?
Get paid.
I knew that was saying that. I left that way too open for that.
Should be working towards getting heaven.
You're, I can say retirement here, but, you know, and I guess I do that too, but, you know, our retirement isn't here. Our retirement is in heaven. And yes, we have jobs. And yes, we save money back and things like this. Everybody should. But our end goal, our end game should be heaven. That's where we should look for our treasure to be laid up.
Well, it's interesting how Paul worded that last part, knowing that your labor is not in vain, Lord. That means they thought their labor was not being rewarded. So that means that if we're doing these good works, we're not being rewarded right now. We're not seeing that instant gratification of something in our hand that's something later we'll receive. So, we gotta remind ourselves that.
You see some though, like when we are
You do.
for somebody or.
Mhm.
That's a win or something we can physically see here. Classes and learning. I mean, you see boys get up here and do things. You see them work in class. You see them learn. You know, that's some of it we can sit there and say, okay, you know, we evidently doing something right. When you rattle something off and they find it before you do, you're like, okay, that's better, doing better than I am. But we are a nation of instant gratification, right? I mean, everybody wants to have a good time. And that's all they live for. You go to work and these guys just want to work to get to the end of the week to where they can mess around and do whatever they want. Go out and party and just do that. Especially teenagers and young adults. I'm unfortunately past that stage with the ability to stay awake, but, you know, it's all about here and now versus later. And the things, I suppose, as you get older, you stop and thinking, you know, I think the window is blinders on compared to a horse. You put blinders on a horse and they go one direction. The older you get, to me, the less I want to wander around. It's more get from point A to point B and I'm happy. And we should be looking definitely at point B, where we're gonna end.
Well, anymore, it's like everybody wants to outdo each other with what they have, physical stuff. You've got something, so I wanna get the next best thing. And that's what their focus is. So, and that's not what's gonna get us where we need to go.
I'm just hoping mine gets me from here to home, or from home to work. I grew up a long time ago, new pickup comes out of the side of the other. Once they started to become the price tag of a farm, I decided at that point that I'd rather have dirt than a vehicle. But each his own. I mean, it's not any different. Vehicle, new car, new whatever the person looks at. It all can be an idol. It can all be, hey, I got this and this is my precious, basically. All right. Let's look at Matthew 16, 19 through 21. Matthew 16, 19 through 21.
And I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Then he commanded his disciples that they should tell no one that he was Jesus the Christ. From that time, Jesus began to show to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised the third day.
Trying to figure out why I messed up. I think I'm referencing 19 only, but I think I hear it is introduced for context. But what do we see him getting here? What does Peter receive?
He's to the kingdom of heaven.
Okay. The kingdom aspect, where's our retirement at? Heaven. They got the keys for it, right? How do we get there? We've got to get there by paying attention to God and following His will. We can't just do it to be doing it. We've got to do the things He told us. It's not an interstate, it's more of a dirt road in width-wise, kind of the way it's referred to us. It's not easy to attain. It's something we have to work at to get to. Matthew 6:33.
But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added to you.
Being added to, is that good or bad? It's good, right? Something we're gaining, we're acquiring. It's like a big savings account only it's not here. And there's no monetary value on it. If we're seeking after God, we may or may not have all the luxuries everybody else, right? I mean, I've been to different countries. A lot of the things we have today that we may not think's nice is, but we're not necessarily going to have the newest and brightest and best and glittery, shiny items in the whole wide world. But at the end of the day, if we're laying up stores in heaven of the things that we have done, our world will be great. All right. Let's look at Colossians 3:5.
Therefore put to death your members which are on the earth, fornication, uncleanness, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
Covetousness. That's what this whole parable's been about. Idolatry. It's something they're wanting so bad that they're putting everything else behind it. That is what his example is. This guy's going after everything himself, and he did it himself, according to him. He doesn't take into consideration that God gives us the things that we need, and that we're capable of handling. She should not eat and then come directly to services. heartburn, and then top of it. Get that back in my head here. How hard is it for us to put I don't really want to say thoughts, but I think that's what's gonna come out of my mouth. The thoughts, the things that we think we need behind us.
Not easy.
What's that?
It's not easy.
It's not easy, right? You know, who wants to give up? Let's see. It was either show up tonight or go uptown and have a whole bunch of ice cream, because I like ice cream for them. It's easy for me to use. So, it doesn't always like me, but I like it. And, you know, for us to give up something that we really enjoy or like, coming out of the world aspect of things, if you think about that, you know, putting away, you know, friends that get you in trouble. I guess I look at the teenage class, because that's what I've been teaching, so it's a little bit easier on that front. But, you know, the things around us are the things that affect us the most. And if we look at something like, you know, this computer bag, you know, I really like it. I like this a lot better than anything else, and this is the only thing I want to ever use, and that's it. You know, I don't look out and about and see everything else, you know, or need on any other front. If I'm all about me, I'm not gonna be all about everybody else. And I'm not gonna be using the things that I've got to help everybody else. So it gives us something to think about. You know, we don't want to be so locked in on whatever we want that we don't see the other people that have a need or need help.
It's also the reputation of like, you get asked like Wednesday night to go to a sports supper and you get to church and you have a reputation, or you do it once, you can do it twice.
It's easier to do the second time. And then the third time, and then the fourth time. So, yes, once your worldly friends, once those outside see you do something like that, they will hold that against you. If they don't hold it against you, they may not come out and say it, but they're definitely thinking it.
Well, then they'll try to get you to
Mhm.
do it again. And they'll put that pressure on you.
And they'll figure out where your weak points are. They're gonna figure out where the holes in the armor are. Where they can come in and get you to do the things that generally you wouldn't do, but with enough persuasion, you do. All right? Let's look at Matthew 6. We already read that one. This is what happens when you scribble. I'm gonna look it up, you know, take
6:33.
6:19 through 21 what I had. Matthew. We read 16. I don't think, didn't read 19, 6:19, did we? Sorry. I had 16:19, maybe I messed up on that one too. Oh, I did, I put it in there twice, and I figured out that's my bad, I'm sorry, I'll read it, I messed it up. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Now see, that makes a lot more sense than the other one. For the application that we've got here. Anytime we have anything that we value, do we just throw it out in the yard? Yeah, whether it's money, clothing, and you leave it outside, it's gonna, my cell phone. I've got an app on it so I can find it, because I'm bad about dropping it. But, if we leave, say, your cell phone outside, it rains on it, what happens? It's not any good, right? So you don't leave anything around here. So, the one thing that we value about putting things away to God is the fact that where He puts them, nothing's gonna touch it. So we gain that we'll never lose. But yet, if we gain things here, we may not have it over time. All right, any comments over this? Crickets? Okay. On to the next one. We're gonna be Matthew 18, 21 through 35. Someone read that, please?
No, you go ahead.
Then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Until 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king which would take account for his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him which owed him 10,000 talents. But forasmuch as he had not to pay, the Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence, and he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet, and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. Till 35?
Yeah, 35.
Okay. Then his Lord, after that, he had called him and said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desirest me. Shouldest not thou also have compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? And his Lord was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not everyone his brother their trespasses.
Okay. We're gonna deal with the first bit here, verse 21. How many times did the Jews have to forgive somebody? Usually before they had to not worry about it, unless anybody in here studied or the Jewish aspect of it. 3 times. What's number 7 or 70 represent? See, he did study part of it in school anyway, so you don't have to get that part. I hate studying on the other one. But I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So I actually know something. Actually, I just read in the book, so don't act like I am smart, because I know I'm not. But we look at the 70 times 7. How many times, or how hard of a time do we have, and I'll just reference, not necessarily us, but outside the world, how hard is it to forgive somebody?
For some people, it's really hard.
If you had something done to you, wrong, somebody's wronged you, did something bad, how hard is that to get out of your head? You hold that in your head and you just set fast on it. Yes, you do. And, we're to forgive people for the things that they do against us, but that's hard enough to do in itself, being said. It's easier said than done. Because it gives us, in the back of your head, you're like, last time I did something for X person, when I went back asking for help, they just looked at me and said, no. So how hard is it for us to get past it? People out in the world, I know it's hard for them, because they don't care. But we should stop and think about it for a little bit. Now, does that mean we go back and keep offering the same kind of service or same kind of deal to the person after they've burned us a couple times? No, you're gonna pay attention to that, and probably are not gonna get into the same situation you were. But as far as holding a grudge against that person, or disliking or hating that person, because I've seen it where you put 2 people in there, it's like putting oil and water in a room and seeing what happens. Really? That's the fact they're popping their fingers. There's some things I can fix. But we are to forgive, and it doesn't matter how long. It isn't something you stop today forgiving somebody, it's something you carry on. It's a never, no better purpose, it's never ending. It's something you just let it go, is what he's telling them. Because the infinite number of 70 times 70, it's basically a number big enough you can't touch it. So, any other comments this evening? Stop with that one, I'm not gonna get into the rest of it. Crickets again? That must be boring this evening or something, I don't know. Which I don't blame that. You're tired.
Yes.
I had a good day, son, by the way. I got this door on shut down.